Well, Razorback fans, Sam Pittman met with the Little Rock Touchdown Club down there in Little Rock and had some interesting things to say. Some things I liked and some things were fascinating. So let's go ahead and talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday as we are just, 11 days now from Razorback football starting up. We're going to talk a little bit about the defensive side of the ball as Travis Williams was able to meet with the media on some things. And we'll also get, of course, into some other fun topics dealing with coaches, former college football coaches, NFL coaches who want to get back into coaching. Why is it all happening at once? And what does that have to do with Arkansas? So we'll have some fun with that and dive into that as well. But I wanted to start off today's podcast with talking about Sam Pittman and him meeting with the Little Rock Touchdown Club down there in Little Rock. I think it's interesting anytime you get to hear from a head coach, regardless if you think it's interesting or not. I do. A lot of times, at least in this particular case even, there's not a lot of new groundbreaking stuff being said or being put forth. It's mainly just some little tidbits, maybe a different tone, maybe a different approach. Maybe something has changed over a past day or two, whatever it may be. And it's always fascinating. And as many of you who know that I listen to this podcast and follow me on Inside Arkansas Live and all of those things, I have been critical of at times of Sam Pittman and the communication that he has in press conferences. I think in some cases he's way too honest, to be honest. And that's a weird thing to say because we want everybody to be honest in every walk of life. I do, you do, we all do. But sometimes when it comes to dealing with fans in sports and as a head coach especially, maybe lie is not the right way of putting it. Maybe it's just vague, be up in the air, say something, but maybe mean something else, just a little bit of massaging there. But I always find it fascinating. And I think Sam Pittman's gotten better at it. I think that there are some things that he says that I do know this. The things he says, he truly believes. And I think that there is some respect that is to be given in that. But the one thing that I felt like he was lacking, especially over the past year, was just a level of confidence and excitement that he can instill within the fan base, and still within Razorback fans, and still within the program. For anybody that is overly critical of him and wanting him to be fired and felt like he should have been fired last year and is just so bummed about the season, I totally understand. So don't get me wrong, I get it. But it doesn't matter because Sam Pittman is the head coach. He's going to be head coach this season. So if he's going to be that, he needs to come out swinging and needs to come out firing on all cylinders. And I'm going to play this a few clips, but this particular clip I want to play from Sam Pittman and him just doing exactly what I've wanted him to do. Overconfident. Just come out and get some good quotes and get people fired up. Take a listen.
I don't know what the guys who never played it down predicted us, and all that kind of stuff. But I know that we've got a really good freshman class that we do. Hence, if you don't want to rank us, that's fine. Don't you have to play all of them anyway? Roll that thing out there and let's see what happens. That's fine. We don't need to be ranked. If you don't want to rank it, we surprise a lot of people. We ain't surprising me. We've got a really good football team. We really, really do, and we're excited to get out there and play.
So that right there, you're going to hear it, and you're probably going to be like, whoop-de-doo. Fine. Again, that's your opinion. I love this, and I feel like there should be a lot more of this from Sam Pittman. I understand that circumstances aren't great, especially considering the fact that you are picked to finish near dead last in almost every expert's opinion in college football, nationally and maybe even locally. And it's hard to really fake excitement or fake energy or fake confidence in some regards in that way. But if you truly believe that you are going to be a team that's better this year, that's improved, that's going to prove people wrong, all of those things, you need to showcase it. And you need to showcase it in these opportunities right here where you're speaking directly to the fans. Press conferences are to the media, but because of the public nature of them, they are indirectly towards the fans as well. This particular case was directly to the fans and no one else. So that's the thing that I like. I like having a coach, regardless of the circumstance, come out and be this way. I have felt also that when it comes to being a head coach, there's a lot of intricacies that I am not envious of and I don't want any part of. And ones that, I'm sure are a lot more difficult than we even realize, but that's why they get paid the big bucks. That's why they get paid so much money to handle those things. But I just think it could always go so much further if you have a confident coach, a confident guy that believes that, hey, my team is awesome, regardless of the outcome, regardless of the actualities of it. That's what I want from my coach, especially my coach that's in his 6th year. So I want to applaud Sam Pittman for this. We don't really have many more opportunities until the season starts to hear from him. And then once the season starts, we'll see how it goes. But as of right now, I think every Razorback fan, and I can speak for almost every Razorback fan, where you're crossing your arms over here and you're like, I am in wait and see mode, buddy. I'm not going to buy into anything. Not going to believe anything until I see it on the field. And again, that is totally fine. I don't blame you for that. I don't have any issues with any of you feeling that way. My only thing is that if you are somebody that is hopeful in this season and hopeful that it's a great year, and even hopeful that Sam Pittman does a good job, which I am, I'm really hopeful that Sam Pittman does a good job, then I want to hear this. I want to hear it from him. And I love it. I love it. Now, there were some other things too that he talked about and just talking about the team in general. And some of it was, just stuff we know, nothing too crazy. But the thing that I thought was interesting, and I don't want to reopen this wound, but since he's the one that brought it up, it's dealing with the current landscape of, the college athletics and rev share and all of these things, which is a pretty crazy and pretty overly complicated thing in dealing with rev share. So here's him talking about it and how it is reportedly going to even the playing field.
And then we come over here. This year will be the last year, I think, where it's going to be some inequality in finances. In other words, a lot of programs push 20, 25 million forward so they could have their 13, 14, 15 million in rev share all available for this class. I think this is going to be at least if the rules go through and the law goes through, that would be the last year for that. So I think it's going to, when we were all even, we went from 4 and 20 to top 20, when it was all even. And so I think this is the last year for that. And then we can compete financially with everybody and anybody.
Okay. So here's the thing. I believe Sam Pittman and what he says is truly what he believes. And I believe that he's saying that is because that is what he has been told. He has been told this. He's been told that, hey, revenue share, this is going to be the last year. Even though I felt like last year was supposed to be the last year, that it's all even playing field. There's just not a reality, folks, where it's an even playing field. And if you truly believe in that reality, or I guess I should say a non-reality, but if you truly believe in that it's just going to be an even playing field, you're kidding yourself. It's not a thing. It's not real. It's fairy dust. It's a fugazi, as they say from Wolf of Wall Street. As much as I'd like for it to be real, we are sitting here in the age of college football and of college athletics in general, that it's ever changing. But the one thing that won't change will still be people finding ways to be successful, finding ways to get the best players, finding loopholes, cheating their hides off. I mean, look what happened with Michigan just recently. I mean, they had stuff that was so evident and so obvious, and they really just got a slap on the wrist considering all the things. It just doesn't matter. And so I am not blaming Sam Pittman, and I am not getting on to Sam Pittman, and I'm not criticizing Sam Pittman. I am criticizing the people who are telling Sam Pittman this, because it's just not true. It sounds great in theory. And yes, the idea behind the whole revenue sharing deal is to even the playing field, if you will, where every school has the maximum right to spend $20.5 million, $20.5 million, and being able to distribute among their student athletes. But anybody that actually thinks that that's it and that every school is just going to, that we're going to cap themselves at that and they're not going to pull some strings and do some things behind the scenes, you're kidding yourselves. It's not going to change anything. And especially since right now everything's so fluid, nothing is really just going to blow up and be like, oh, whoa, didn't see this coming. Man, I guess we better go back to the way things we were doing it before. The train ain't stopping. College athletics ain't stopping. College football's not stopping. You think any of these programs are just going to stop and be like, well, I guess, it's the way it is now, boys. Sorry, big donors. We're not taking any more of your money. We just all got to be on the same even playing field. It's just not. And so I just feel bad in a way for Sam Pittman because, again, it's not true. And I think that he's being relayed a message to make him and make other people feel comfortable about it. But I just don't see it that way. And I don't think college athletics is going to see it that way. And I feel like a year from now, we're going to see not much changing when it comes to the rev share and it evening the playing field. I just don't see any way, shape, or form it's happening that way. We'll talk a little bit about Razorback defense, but I also want to bring up something else with Sam Pittman when he talked about the Arkansas State game. I'm sure this will go well, but we'll get into that. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, all you Razorback fans out there, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that helps you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up, and college football really isn't far behind. Whether you've got a big eye on the big-name quarterback or breakout running backs, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in the game. No matter what it is when it comes to these athletes and to these quarterbacks and to the wide receivers, you could be able to get excited about all these particular players for your favorite team. You're thinking really good about them, thinking they're going to be making a huge difference for your team. Well, then why don't you try having some fun with it with Prize Picks? They have a flex play option that's a total game changer. Even when one of your picks is missed, you can still double your money. And Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 off in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Drip Drop. If you're ever trying to stay on top of your routine, or maybe someone like me where I'm trying to be on top of my hydration, I notice everything actually does work better. My energy, my mood, my focus, even my skin, which you all know how much you love talking about my skin, everything like that. But sometimes it's hard to get all the fluids that you need in a single day. But that's why Drip Drop is where it's at. Drip Drop is doctor developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of a leading sports drink. Anytime you wanted to try to get hydrated, no matter if it's for your workouts or just your day-to-day routine, once you start taking Drip Drop, it's going to make a difference for you, and you're going to notice it instantly. You're just going to be able to perform better in every walk of life and feel better, feel healthier, which is always a very much important thing that maybe sometimes we don't really take advantage of. But luckily for you, Drip Drop's going to help you out with that. And right now, Drip Drop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat continues to hit really hard. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, so we've been having this thing right now with with Arkansas and Arkansas State. I don't know if you guys knew this, but they're going to be playing each other. Did you know that? I'm sure you did, because it's been on all the papers and everybody's getting so pumped up and excited about it. Even though I still think there's going to be some chaos surrounding it and some people that may not be all in on it, but still, it should be pretty good. I'm at least looking forward to it. But either way, it's going to be a great matchup and historical, I guess. Well, Sam Pittman was asked about this too, and dealing with the game itself. And this goes back to something that I really like Sam Pittman and what he said. Okay. So he's talking about this game. They're in Little Rock, just a few miles away from War Memorial Stadium. And here's what he had to say about this Arkansas State matchup.
And then we come over here and play Arkansas State, as y'all well know. You know, isn't it funny how people are? I mean, hell, we ain't played Arkansas State in 93 years. 93. And I'm going, we'll play them, okay? The first coach, I'm going to, then the first question I get, well, you want to have a home and home? Hell no, I ain't going to have a home and home. I'm the first guy in 90, ask somebody in 186 years what he wants to do. I just made some people mad, but hell, join the crowd.
All right, so I didn't like the end of that. It's just something that, I think Pittman, again, one of my criticisms of him is sometimes he just feels to take those shots where it's like you shouldn't care what the media or shouldn't care what the fans say. You should just be focused on yourself. But when you take shots like that, it kind of shows that it bothers you. But either way, I may not have liked that, but I did like what he had to say about this Arkansas State game. It just really wasn't one that I wanted to be played, and I still don't want it to be played, and I still don't think it should be played. But I am glad that he is not going to just toe the line of what previous coaches may have or athletic directors when it came to this particular topic. Some people previously, even if the game wasn't getting played, it was still going to be approached as, we just got this and we're doing so good over here. We got schedule is tough and, we respect that program over there, but, it's fine. And, maybe one day down the street, there was just none of that. It was just, listen, yeah, I'm the first coach to be doing this. And you all should be lucky I even agreed to this, is the kind of the vibe I get from Sam Pittman. You should be lucky that after 93 years, I'm the coach that decided that I wanted to do this. And even then, people are saying, well, maybe you should do a home and home. And he's like, no, you're lucky that I'm even agreeing to this. So you're going to do it on my terms and nobody else's terms. And we're just going to play this one game in Little Rock and that's it. And I don't think, and I really don't hope, or I really hope that Arkansas does not continue to play this game or even entertain playing this game. But if they insist upon it, I hope that it's just at home in Fayetteville, which according to Sam Pittman, it's going to be, and that's the way it should be. There should be no games that the University of Arkansas Razorback football team plays in Jonesboro. Period. End of story. Arkansas, after this game against Arkansas State and War Memorial, in my opinion, should never play an actual legitimate college football game in the state of Arkansas outside of Reynolds Razorback Stadium ever again. Plain and simple. So, again, goes back to the whole point of why I like Sam Pittman in this regard and why his honesty really is something that's endearing because it's something that needs to be said. And I feel like some people, not all, but some people misconstrue that and don't really understand why it's truly a positive. So either way, I liked it. Thank you, Sam, for that. But also, too, I was going to play this clip, but I can just kind of dive into it a little bit. Travis Williams, the defense coordinator for Arkansas, talked about his strength of his defenses. And I'm going to be honest, he talked about his linebackers and his secondary being the strengths. The D-line is not where it needs to be, it sounds like. The pass rush is not where it needs to be. They're a little thin on that side, and that is worrisome. But one of the things that sometimes I forget about in dealing with maybe why this defense is going to be all right or why Arkansas may just do just fine was dealing with the continuity of the coaching staff and what they have going for them in this regard. Because, again, say what you want, but having the same coaches, especially with those core positions of defensive line, linebacker, and secondary, play a huge factor and a huge role into it. And I think it's sometimes when you deal with coaching staffs, especially as a collective unit, they may not always work well together. There may be egos that take over. Maybe one side or one position group ain't carrying its weight, whatever it is. But to have Deke Adams, Marcus Woodson, and Travis Williams, all three kind of come together there and be able to continue on going into year 3 as the same collective group, I think is something that's extremely important and maybe something that doesn't get near enough credit as it deserves. I think it's awesome. And I hope that they continue to work well together. And, is that going to help them win games automatically this year? Probably not. But is it something that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable and maybe sleep a little better at night, knowing that these are three coaches that are all on the same page. That's important. It's a factor that, again, doesn't get talked about enough. But I like Travis Williams. I like Marcus Woodson. I like Deke Adams. I think the defensive staff's really good. Although I am tending to believe that some of the things going on in practices and whatnot, it seems to be more geared towards the offense and Bobby Petrino than the defense. And I'm curious of how the coaching staff is handling that. We'll get to hear from Bobby Petrino today, see if it gets brought up. But either way, pretty fascinating things. I want to bring up this whole thing about former coaches wanting to get back into college football, as it seems to be an epidemic going on right now, and why they want to do that. We'll talk about that in here in a second. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, all you Razorback fans, if you're running a business, every missed call is money left on the table, as we all know. Think about the last time you needed a service. If the person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You just moved on. That's why you need Open Phone, so that you never miss an opportunity to connect with your customers. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. Do you juggle two phones to keep your businesses? I know a lot of people that do those things. They have a business phone and a work phone, and it kind of really gets in the way, and you forget which phone is which, and it's just cumbersome. Well, Open Phones solve that instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more who's handling this type of situation. And the AI agent handles after-hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so that you never have to worry about missing a customer again. So see why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedoncollege. That's openphone.com/lockedoncollege. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. So here's the deal with the current state of college football and just football in general. This past year, we didn't have really any openings in the SEC. Every coach stayed the same. How about that? Seems almost rare these days, but it's still something that's interesting to look at and fascinating to put into place. But either way, I always thought that with what goes on in college football, especially, it's a thing to where now more than ever is more difficult for coaches just to get back into it. I would think because of NIL, because of rev share, because of transfer portal, and it being the Wild West, I just don't really see, even though I love college football, I just don't really see why or how or what's endearing about being a head coach in college football as much as I used to, you know? But here recently, you've had John Gruden, as we talked about here recently on the Razorback side of things. He's wanting to get back into coaching, talking about, I would love to coach in the SEC. Okay. And then Jimbo Fisher says, I want to get back into coaching. You know, the guy from A&M and Florida State, the guy that gets paid like $75 million just to not work anymore, wants to get back into college football coaching. And then yesterday, Ed Orgeron, big Ed Orgeron, he wants to get back into coaching. He says he's got the itch again. Also a coach that got paid a ton of money to not work anymore. And I'm just sitting back and I'm like, there's got to be a reason behind this. Maybe it's just they're bored. Maybe they just want to get their face out there and their name out there. Maybe they're about to start a podcast, so they're trying to stir up some controversy before it gets going, which I know is a common thing anyways. Whatever the reason being, it's strange. It's very strange as to why any coach, especially coaches that during the time of not having NIL, got fired and they want to come back into this. And with, I almost get the thing with Gruden, because Gruden's deal, first off, he hadn't coached in college football at the high level, or at least as a head coach. And so I could kind of see the allure of him. And he's been out of coaching for a while now. But for Eddie O and for Jimbo, if you're going to coach, that's fine. If you got the itch, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, you're a football coach and you want to coach. That's what you do. It's your trade. But if you're going to do that, I'm like, man, go hang out at a smaller school with no pressure and just hang out, man. Just do it at the lowest level. Collect a little bit of a check if you're trying to scratch that itch. But if you're trying to get back into the SEC or back into major college football, to me, there's only one reason why you're doing that is because of money, which you have so much of. Maybe you've blown through it already, but it just has to be a money thing. It just has to be. And Jimbo Fisher is one of those guys where I'm like, what big program would hire? Like, could you imagine? I would be irate if Arkansas hired Jimbo Fisher as their head coach next year. I'd be irate. Like, oh, okay, so he can't win at Texas A&M with all the amenities that they have, but he's going to come into Arkansas and win at eye level. Sure. Ed Orgeron's still kind of the same thing. I mean, I actually like Ed Orgeron more than I do Jimbo, but it's like Ed Orgeron had the stars aligned for him at LSU with that program, and he won a title, but, it just really wasn't going to be paying out and planning out the way that it looked. Maybe as an assistant coach, maybe he'd be more interested in that. Maybe it's not a head coach. Maybe that's what some of these coaches want to be. And if that's the case, fine. But man, some of these guys, I'm like, y'all just need to stay back and just be happy. That's what I would do. If I was Jimbo and I had $75 million and I was in my late 50s or whatever, I'd be sitting on the dock of my beach house and just chilling every day, watching football, do some analytic work, which it looks like, I know Jimbo's done, I guess, with the ACC network and stuff like that, but just hang out, man. Just chill. Unless you're John Gruden, then you can come to Arkansas next year. I'll allow that. Appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great night, everybody. See you then.